Tim Sainato, world-class angler, tournament fisherman, and professional guide, began a lifelong career in the sport at a very early age. He started a guide service in and around the Branson, Missouri area in his early teens, giving him the opportunity to fish some of the finest bass waters in the country. Tim has dedicated his life to the sport and has participated in most all the major tournaments across the U.S., including the Bassmasters Top 150. He took 5th place at the Bass Louisiana Central Invitational in Red River, Louisiana, and 18th place at the Bass Megabucks in Douglas Lake, Tennessee. In November 1997, Tim was featured as the cover story in the Fishin' magazine. Tim's first video, Table Rock Bass, was filmed on beautiful Table Rock Lake in southwest Missouri and has sold thousands of copies. Tim spends over 300 days a year on the water doing guide trips and tournaments. Tim Sainato, a real fisherman's fisherman.
Hi, my name is Tim Sainato and welcome to Deepwater Bass. For the next hour, I'm going to be sharing with you the techniques and lures that I personally use for catching bass from deep water, such as a drop shot rig, swimming a grub for suspended fish, fishing a Carolina rig and a jig on creek drops and points. So I hope the next hour is not only enjoyable, but a learning experience. Thanks for watching. You know, in life there are no guarantees, especially when it comes to fishing. But one thing you can count on is getting the best deal around in Davis Bar Chevrolet Pontiac. And today I have with me my good friend and fishing buddy, Craig Davis.
Thanks, Tim, for having us out today. At Davis Bar Chevrolet Pontiac, we have a large inventory of Chevy tow vehicles and Pontiac cars, all with special prices for our fishing friends. So come on down to Bearville, Arkansas and give us a try, or call me at 870-423-2182.
One good pattern I like to use for catching fish deep is fishing with two different things, is a Carolina rig and throwing a jig. And this pattern I use probably pretty much all through the year except for the dead of the winter. I'll do more vertical fishing in the dead of the winter, catch suspended fish and deep fish straight down. But this pattern here, we'll start out with pre-spawn, which in different parts of the country can go anywhere from January, February, all the way up as far as, like on Table Rock, it usually is March and April. What I start out doing, you got to have a good topo map. I'll show you later on in the video the type of structure I look for. But what I do is I start as close to the main lake or the main river, find a good spawning flat, which I'm talking about a good spawning flat. Is one is on the north side of the lake, which gets a lot of the south sun exposure early in the year. And they usually warm up quicker, so those fish will move in there and get a little more active earlier than the ones on the north-facing banks. What I do is I start as close to the river as I can, or the lake, look on the topo map, try to find where that creek starts heading back into that flat. And what I'll do is I'll just start following that creek and fishing the edges. What you're looking for is a bend in that creek, preferably one with some structure on it, stump, brush piles, rocks, anything like that. You don't necessarily have to have it, but it just seems to hold fish a little better. And what I'll do is I'll just start following. Those are little highways for those bass to go back into those spawning flats, and they'll stage on those edges. So that water warms up, they'll move up. And we always have cold fronts, and fish will start staging. They'll get warm for a week or so, then it'll get cold, and those fish will fall right back to those same spots. And what's good about this is when you find one, there's usually always a bunch more fish there, and you can really have a good time and catch some big fish doing this. Because these fish are full of eggs, they're in their pre-spawn, and they're the heaviest they are any time of the year. What I like to do, the first one I'll talk about is Carolina rig, and there's a few different baits I like to fish on, anything from the French fries, lizard, and the worm. I go to the worm when the water warms up. I fish this same pattern, like I said, most of the year, probably 10 months out of the year. But I'll use the worm when the water gets warm in the summer and even in the fall before it cools off again. But the lizard you can use all the time. French fry is really, it's kind of a finesse bait, but I've probably won more money in tournaments fishing that little 4-inch worm right there on a Carolina rig. I've fished it anywhere from 5 foot deep all the way up to, I've caught them as deep as 50 and 55 foot on that little bait right there. But what I'll do is I'll just cast that rig up and just drag those edges. And then when I catch a fish or find something I like down there, such as a bend, I'll carry as many as 6 marker buoys with me in the boat. Those little buoys with a string and a lead on them, and I won't throw that right on the structure. I'll throw it off to the side just a little ways off to where I can key on that piece of structure. I'll throw that piece of structure every which way I can. If I know there's fish there, I think there should be fish on that bend. And what I fish is the Lucky Strike Enforcer series, all the plastic Enforcer series. It's real important to me because they've got the scent that they have impregnated into these baits is very important because it seems the fish hold on to it a little longer. It just gives the angler a little more edge on catching that fish. But I always start, if I don't know what color to start with, green pumpkin. That's this dark green, kind of a watermelon color. That's my go-to bait right there. I catch fish on that color in clear waters of Table Rock, Bull Shoals, Beaver Lake, and I'll catch them even in like Truman Lake in that stain water, or Lake Fork, or Sam Rayburn. It works everywhere. And I use those, and I'll use the Lucky Strike Enforcer Lizard. Also, I like this bait right here. It's called the Biffle's Baffle. It's something Lucky Strike put out. It's that zipper style worm, and it works real well on a Carolina rig. And like I said, I go to these when it warms up a little bit. Another pattern I like fishing that same type structure is throwing a jig. This one right here is a Jewel Bait Company spider jig. They make 3 different sizes of jigs, a 3, a 5, and a 7/16. I use a 7/16 fishing this way because I'm fishing deep. And I tip it with either a Lucky Strike. It's called a grabber grub. It's a twin tail hula grub. I pinch the skirt off, and I put a little drop of super glue right there on top of that and slide it up, and that won't go anywhere. Because a lot of times you'll miss a fish, set the hook, and that grub will slide back. You want it to stay right there. And also Jewel Bait Company has an excellent grub too that works on that. It's called a Hyperflex grub. It's their twin tail grub. And the colors I primarily use is green pumpkin right here and black and blue. Those are the 2 colors. Early in the year I like that black and blue quite a bit, especially in stain water too. But even in the green pumpkin, I'll dip the tails in chartreuse, try to spruce it up a little bit, or sometimes that they can see it a little better. I fish that if I think the fish might be suspended in cover, like there's trees, or they might be suspended off those edges stuff, I'll always fish this twin tail grub, because when it falls, it has some real good action to it. And if I'm just dragging right along bottom, a lot of times I'll just fish with the plastic crawl trailer on the same jig. Now, if I get a place where the water's stained, has a lot of color to it, or there's a lot of brush down in there, this is a jig I throw right here. It's a diamondback jig made by Lucky Strike. And I put the Rick Clunn Lucky Strike jig trailer on the back of it. What I like about this jig is that rattle. So I'm just barely moving, and you can hear that rattle, and those fish can really key on it in that stained water. Or if there's a lot of cover down there, such as hydrilla, brush piles, something like that. So I'll fish that jig in the real heavy conditions. Tell you what, let's just take a little trip down to Texas, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. A technique I like to use is I get right off the river or the main lake or whatever and get in the creek channel. Just follow the creek channel in through these spawning flats, and I'm going to keep the boat right in the channel, casting up on the flats, and these fish tend to hold right on the bends, the channel swings. One technique I like to use is a jig. This one right here is a Jewel spider jig, a small profile jig, and I can get it down quick and work it through that brush real good. And another good technique is a Carolina rig. Buster Loving's my fishing partner today, good friend of mine, and he's fishing the Carolina rig with Lucky Strike Enforcer Lizard on it. And we're just going to follow this creek channel up here and see which one they like the best. Okay, them fish are laying right there on that drop. They're about 18 to 20 feet, near as I can figure, right out there on that little point right there.
Got a real rough bottom. I really feel my weight coming through there. A lot of trash.
Yeah, right there. Yep, that's the spot. Just keep throwing right in that creek channel. It kind of cuts around right here. There's a little point. You got a little bit of current coming over it.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Just had one pick it up.
You get one?
Come on.
Use it.
There he is.
You got him.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one too.
Got 2.
Yeah, they're double that, boy. And you find them this time of year, they're usually stacked up in there.
Oh, this feels like a better fish here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Mine don't feel too big, but no one of them little bucks. You got a pretty good fish.
Yeah, this is a nice one.
Yeah, that's a good fish.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
This is what we're after.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot more of them down there this time of year, man. They really stack up on these little swings.
Pretty fish.
Yeah. It was on a lizard, mine was on that Jewel spider jig.
Yep.
You was on that Enforcer Lucky Strike Lizard. Folks, early in the year like this, you don't get discouraged because these fish will really stack up. You know, we fished a couple hours without a bite and got on this spot right here and caught some pretty good fish earlier, and they quit and we came back. And we're going to give them one more try right here. This afternoon sun's up real high, and they ought to really start biting in here. There's a good stump right out there, right on the end of this channel swing. I can feel my jig coming through it right now.
Every time we come through that stump, we get a little something going on earlier today.
Yeah, we had about 4 good fish here earlier. These fish just kind of moving. Oh, there he is. Oh, man, look at this one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good fish.
Man, this one feels good. Yeah, that's one of them good
Let me get him.
there.
Let me get him.
All right. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was 10, what, give or take 5?
Yeah.
That's a good fish. Yeah. On that jewel spider jig.
There's that trashy bottom again.
Yeah.
Doing it again.
We're still in that same spot, man. Right there on that, where that channel cuts through. That big stump's holding a lot of fish, and I think these bigger fish have moved in here. Oh, it feels good down there.
Yeah.
Oh, we're sitting right
Here
in.
we go. I got one taking it.
We're right in the channel right now. Was he right on that edge?
Yeah, right on. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
This is a good fish here. Yeah, this is a bigger fish.
Got that Bass Pro rod doubled up there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good fish.
Tell you what, you dip that tail of that green pumpkin lizard and that chartreuse when they kind of slowed down. I don't know whether that made a difference or not, but you're still catching them.
I'm going to keep doing it.
Here
It's
we're
working. Yeah.
That's a nice
There's
fish.
a good solid fish.
That's a good old female. Look how fat she is. She's getting ready to spawn. Water gets about another 10 degrees. It's about 55, 56 right now. Boy, 5 of them a day, I'd be a millionaire. Boy, them are good fish. Well, they kind of quit on that last spot, so we're just going to idle up through here and just follow this creek and try to find another swing like we found back there.
Maybe you can put us on some more fish.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, they were really on that last spot, but what would you rather be doing today?
Nothing. Fishing.
Man, this has been all right. Nice weather early in the year like this. Fish are biting. Oh, here we go. Here's a spot right here. This channel's starting to cut in right here, and it's about 24 foot. Yeah, we're sitting right on the edge of this drop-off right here. Just got a real good break on it. Those fish are kind of suspended. I'm just kind of letting that jig just come off there. When I lose contact at the bottom, that's when that fish hits.
Yeah, why don't you get your jig back up in the front of the boat?
I am kind of back there where you're fishing.
Got my water.
There he is. There he is. Is that you?
No, that's not me.
It felt like you hit my line.
No.
Oh, no, it was a fish. Man, it felt like you were just kind of pulling on it. That fish just swam off with it.
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, that feels like a really nice fish, too. You know, this morning we caught a lot of males, and all of a sudden this afternoon the fish got a lot bigger. We're starting to
that's
catch
a good
those
fish.
4 and 5
Yeah,
pounders
let me
now.
get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
There's a good one.
Man. All right.
Car back there in my water.
That's a pretty good fish.
Straight up in front of the boat.
Let's turn that back and let her spawn. Looks like she's getting about ready.
Even Mike Wall, the boat operator for the cameraman, couldn't stay out of the act. Mike caught bass all day long. It was a great day for bass fishing on Lake Fork.
How many fish you reckon we caught off that spot right here?
Boy, I don't know, but they have really been
Man.
stacked up on here.
Think about it, they may not even be here tomorrow, though. I mean, these fish are going to be moving. You just have, there he is, there he is. Oh, yeah, that's good fish, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Man, they are stacked up in here. aren't
Double. Yep.
they? Man,
Feels like a good fish again.
these fish will just keep coming and going. Yeah, I mean, this spot right here will just, these fish will, even after they're done spawning, they'll move right back out here on this spot. That's a pretty nice fish.
Yeah.
How big's yours?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's a nice one.
It don't matter, as long as they got a head and tail, they're all fun. Throwing that jewel spider jig with that Lucky Strike Rick Flynn trailer on it.
Yeah, and this Lucky Strike lizard's catching them about just as good.
That enforcer lizard.
Yep.
Couple of awesome baits. I mean, they are fat. There's a lot of bait fish in there too, a lot of crayfish. Let's turn these back, see if we can catch a couple more. Folks, when you get a spot like this way offshore, it's so easy to lose your spot. So I throw a marker buoy out, and I don't throw it right in the fish. I throw it off to the side of where I'm fishing, then just fish around it. 'Cause it's so easy to lose your spot when you're way offshore. Just kind of get a bearing. There he is. Oh man, there's another fish, and I guarantee you we've caught over 25 fish off this spot today.
Oh, I got one too.
Make that 27. Man, I'm telling you, they are in here.
Unreal. It's just endless.
Yeah, you can do this all year. The summer they'll be there, in the fall they'll be right back in there. They just migrate in and out of these spots. I mean, look at this chunk.
Really good fish too. All
Yeah.
quality fish.
Yeah, both these about 3 pounds. Still throwing them same 2 baits we've been throwing all day. I mean, if it works, why put it away? Yeah, I'm gonna make one more pass around this point. I'm telling you, it's been awful good to us. I'm gonna keep fishing until they quit. Never leave a hungry fish. That's what I always say. I mean, there he is.
You got another one?
Yeah.
This is unreal.
About to wear the paint off.
I got one too.
I'm about to wear the paint off that jig.
Oh, man.
Oh, she's coming up. She's coming up. Don't jump. Don't jump.
That's not that big. Well, it's not
I
bad.
got a pretty good fish on here. She's trying to jump.
Let me help you here.
This water's still pretty cold, though. They're not going to jump out of the water just yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be a little bigger than mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at these. We've caught them like this all day long. We had kind of a dead spell right about midday, but that afternoon sun got up there high, and I think these fish got a little more active. I mean, that's a good 4-pound fish right there, and yours is probably 3.5. So right here's that point right here, that S curve right here, and I got that marker buoy just right off the edge of that big stump. I mean, this stump's got a lot of roots in it. I'm just shaking that jewel spider jig just right down in them stumps. We kind of got these fish isolated. There he is. Yep, he was right in that stump. Oh, this is a good one.
You've got to be getting tired of catching.
Oh, no, I'll never get tired of catching these.
Nice fish.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Another good 4-pound fish.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Turn her back in. She'll be 10 someday.
I'm on the water 300 days a year. My boat doesn't work, I don't get paid.
For the toughness that Lake Fork dishes out, Nitro's tougher. 9 Series Nitros are built with Performax, 100% composite construction, with the exclusive all-composite stringer system and a limited lifetime warranty.
They build Nitro tough. So I can fish easy.
Nitro.com.
Whether you need 4-inch razor worms, lizards, or jig trailers, Lucky Strike USA can fill all your soft plastic needs. When it comes down to the wire, my confidence bait is the Enforcer series by Lucky Strike. Baits from Lucky Strike USA, they will catch fish. You have my guarantee on it. Okay, early in the year when I was talking about pre-spawn, February, March, April, depending on where you're at in the country, what I key on is these banks on the north side of the lake because they get a lot more sun exposure. They warm up quicker. These are good, and I've caught fish out of these coves right here. They're good spawning coves, and what I do is you can see the main river right here. You can see the intersections right here. These maps will show everything you need right here, and there's 2 creeks that split right here, so what I'm going to do, I would start right here. I would start fishing this and just follow this creek up, just following this creek channel. And same thing over here. You got some good points, good flats that come out. These fish will spawn all along in through here. There's a lot of gravel and stuff. Like I said, I've fished in here before and know this is a good area. And later on in the year in post-spawn, see what these fish will do is they'll go back to that creek channel. A lot of them will come out here on the main river because a lot of times you'll have current and stuff going through these river channels when they're pulling either the reservoir or even a river. River will always have current. Reservoir, if they're running the dam, you'll feel some current. What these fish will do all through the summer and even in the fall, they'll get on these bends like right here. Got that current running over, they'll key right on these bends right here. And in the fall too, these shad tend to migrate back up in these main tributaries where you got a creek coming in. The shad will migrate, and of course a lot of the fish will follow them. So these main tributary creeks, not just your little pockets and stuff, but these main creeks will have some water coming into them. These fish will migrate back there in the fall, and some of them will stay if they're deep enough. A lot of them will stay there most of the winter, but in the wintertime I'll key out here on this main lake right here on these flats right off the river channel. I like to stay close to deep water. When it comes time for my new tow vehicle, I don't have to look any farther than Davis Bar Chevrolet. This next technique I'm going to talk about is called the drop shot rig. It originated out west, but it's taken the nation by storm right now. I've been kind of playing around with it the last year and a half, and believe me, it works. I mean, it's so simple, I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier, but all those guys out west like Skeet Reese and Aaron Martins and those guys have just been winning tons of money out there fishing tournaments doing this. They've got a lot of clear water lakes out there, like Lake Shasta and Orville, lakes like that. Just like we've got Table Rock, Beaver, Bull Shoals. This works real well in clear water, especially when the fish like to suspend more, I think, in clear water. And when they get 2, 3, 4 foot off bottom, what this technique does, it puts that bait right in that strike zone and keeps it there. And the presentation is so much better. Or if you got a bait on a jig head and you drop it down, you're having to lift it up and kind of estimate where you're fishing. And the presentation is a lot different. This here, your weight never leaves bottom. You just kind of shake your rod tip, and that bait just looks so much more alive sitting right in front of that fish's face. But the bite feels a lot different than if you're just fishing straight line with a bait, because really you just feel kind of a tension or just a slight tick on you. You feel anything, of course, set the hook. But the bait's real simple that I fish. You're finesse fishing when you're fishing the drop shot rig. So I fish the Lucky Strike 4-inch ringworm and the 4-inch razor worm in the Enforcer series, and tube bait. That's pretty much all I fish. Of course, I'll vary the colors a little bit, but these are my standards right here. As you noticed in the last segments too, I always talk about these colors right here. But I'll tell you what, we're going to go over and I'm going to show you in a little more detail how to set up the drop shot rig and how to fish it. Okay, I'm going to go in a little more detail on how to set up this drop shot rig. It's really very simple. You got a hook tied directly to your line, you got a weight right below it. The length of your hook to your weight will vary depending on how deep the fish are suspended off bottom. What's nice about this rig, you can put another hook up right here. You can run 2 different baits, which is kind of nice if you're not sure what color they want or what style of bait they want. You can use both and see what they bite on or how far off bottom they are. And this little weight right here, a lot of people use a bill sinker to tie it directly to their line, however far below the hook, but this little weight they just come out with, Bass Pro carries them. They're made specially for this drop shot. So I've got this set about a foot and a half by that weight, and say you wanted to change, instead of having to cut everything off to put a longer leader on there, see, I'd leave this tag in just hanging out here, because that's down below your bait anyway. And if you think, well, I'm going to try a 3 foot off bottom, this thing right here, just pop the line out, just run it out here about 3 foot below your hook, and pop it right back in, just like that. And there you got it. See, now I'm 3 foot off bottom. It's really a neat deal. I use a 3/8 ounce weight a lot. I fish with 8-pound line. Sometimes I'll go to 6, you know, if the water's real clear, fish are real finicky, but mainly 8-pound line is what I use. I use a 6 foot medium heavy. This is a Bass Pro Shop Johnny Morris rod right here and a Johnny Morris reel. Just a real smooth action. Got a lot of feel to it. I want a little bit of backbone where I can set that hook on it. And the bites you get on these drop shots are going to be a lot more settled than what you're used to if you're not used to fishing one of these. Because a lot of times that weight will be sitting right on bottom, and when you jig that, so you get a little slack in your line right here, and that fish will hit that a lot of times, and you won't feel him until you go back to jigging, and you'll feel some pressure on there. And go ahead and set the hook, because most of the time it's going to be a fish that's holding that. I'll use it on this, and sometimes I'll use it on a spinning rod too quite a bit. I got this one set up on a bait caster right now, but I probably use a spinning rod more than anything. I use a 6 or a 6.5 foot medium heavy, same action, with the same pound line, 8-pound line on it. I want to use something with low visibility, because you're usually fishing in clear water with this drop shot rig, so you use a real low visibility line, a low stretch line, because you're going to be fishing this thing deep a lot.
Right here I'm fishing a what's called drop shot rig. You can fish it 2 different ways. You can vertical fish it straight underneath the boat, which is the way I like to fish it a lot of times in the summer and in the fall when the fish are real deep. Right now these fish, we're in a pre-spawn situation. It's March. We're in Missouri. The water's about 55, 57 degrees, and the fish are just now staging. They're starting to pile up on these spots. Right out here behind me, we've got a big spawning area. You can got there's a blue heron sitting right out there in about 6 inches of water, and there's some ditches out here and stumps. And these days stay warm like this, these fish are going to move up in there, but there may be a few fish up here right now, but I'm looking for the numbers. I always try to key on the high percentage areas where these fish are really stacked up, and this area we got right here, it comes out real shallow and it drops about 8 or 10 foot and just kind of drops off. It's all pea gravel, drops off about 35, 38 foot right out here in the channels where I'm going to keep my boat. And you can fish this rig here, like I said, vertical, or you can cast it up and at a 45-degree angle and work it back. And what that does, it's got a real unique action to it. Where your weight's going to be sitting on bottom. Of course, you're going to be sitting up here at a 45-degree angle. And every time you drop that bait's going to go down, and you tighten your line up, it comes straight up. It's just got a little different action to it. And you can't duplicate that with a jig head or anything, because you throw it out there on a jig head and jerk it, it's just going to hop like this. Or a Carolina rig, it's just going to drag right along bottom. So this drop shot rig works real good, especially in a situation where you get like in a tournament situation or a weekend where you get a lot of boat traffic or a lot of people fishing. It's just a little different presentation. You can get a lot more bites. It's just something new that the fish haven't seen. It's a new deal that's really took off in the last couple of years. So you ought to give it a try. One of my favorite baits is the Spider Jig and Jewel Bait Company. I know it will produce for you like it has for me. You know, another real good pattern, not only this time of year, right now it's March, Water's 55 degrees right here where I'm sitting. We've been having some 60-degree days here lately, and I could probably go up on this flat over here behind us. There's some stumps, and maybe pick off a fish or two up there in real shallow water. But I consider these spots, these deep water spots, right close to these spawning areas, or even in the summertime, or in post-spawn when these fish get done, they'll move right back to these same spots, or they'll move up on these flats. We'll get a cold front like we had last Friday. These fish will move right back. So I consider these deep water areas high percentage areas. And of course, that's where I'm going to spend all my time. I mean, if I can increase my odds of getting bit, that's where I'm going to fish. But right now, what I'm fishing is this is a main tributary creek going into the lake. As you can see in the background here, this goes back in here miles. But I'm sitting in about 35 foot of water, and we're only about 50 foot off the bank right here. This is the main creek right here. These fish right now are moving up in here to get ready to spawn. Like I said, the water's about 55 degrees. And I'm throwing that little jewel spider jig on 8-pound line because I'm fishing down pretty deep, so I want lighter line. I'm fishing this lighter jig. Sometimes I'll fish that 7/16 ounce spider jig to get me down there, but I'm wanting that real slow fall. I've got that jewel hyperflex grub on the back, which allows that jig to have a real slow fall, and these fish are biting when I'm coming off these ledges, and this lighter lines let me keep in contact with that bluff a little more. The heavier line, it drags water more, and you're going to get away from that bluff, and I think you're going to miss a lot of fish. So this lighter line, I'm just following that thing right off those ledges like that, and these fish are hitting right on the drop. Every time I come off the rock is when they're hitting it. Right now they're down about 25 feet. I'm throwing it up there probably in about 8 to 10 foot of water and just working it right down those ledges. I'm sitting 35 right here. And actually, they've been hitting it pretty hard for as cool as the water is. When they hit it, you know it. There's been a couple of them just kind of swim off with it. But most of them, boy, you feel that fish really thumping. These fish are getting real. Right there's a ledge, and I'm just going to drop some slack line in my line right there and just let that thing fall right down to the next one. See? Another one. Oh, he ate that jig way down there. Oh, he's in a tree. There he comes. A little better. Good fish there. Wow. Oh. Cold water ain't hurting that fish. Come here, girl. I ain't gonna hurt you. It's a little better. Fish wrapped me around something. That 8-pound Rapala line, it held up. I just put the pressure on her, and here she comes. Oh, she's pretty. Look how healthy them fish are. Cold? Oh, you feel cold. Dump that jig. Oh, smallmouth. Oh, look at this smallmouth. Man, they fight hard. That was a largemouth. He'd weigh 10 pounds. It's a nice brownie, though. Oh, fish I always like them smallmouth. Right in the roof of the mouth. Oh, that's pretty. The same little old jewel spider jig. That fish hit it. I mean, I threw it out there and let it sink about 10 foot and hopped it off that ledge, and it sank about 5 feet and just boom. Boy, he just nailed it. He was probably down there 15, 18 foot, somewhere in there. It's coming up. Very good smallmouth. There you go. Oh. Man. About the same as that last one, about 20 foot down there on that ledge. Never even felt that fish hit. Threw it down there and pulled it off, just kind of lifted up, and I thought it felt kind of heavy, and my line is about 3 foot to the right from where I threw it, so I set the hook. Lake Wheeler down in Alabama is a river-type lake, and I was down there pre-fishing. It was 2 weeks prior to the next week the Bassmaster Top 150 starts, and I was down there pre-fishing. And I knew by the time the tournament got here, the flats would probably warm up. There'd be a few fish move up in there, which I won't rule it out in the tournament, but I was keying on these type areas here, the high percentage areas, where I knew is, you know, during a 4-day tournament like that, you're always going to have a front come through, and it's going to affect those fish. So I look at these high percentage areas, so if the front does come through, these fish fall back, get a little sluggish stuff, I'll sit on those these type banks right here. And if it does get warm for 2 or 3 days, whatever, I may get a limit off a spot like this and move up in the flats, maybe try to catch a bigger fish. Here, your best insurance for a great day of fishing is Pro Guide batteries. They have never let me down. I noticed this afternoon, these fish start biting a little bit better. The shad are all flipping. You can see shad flipping all out in here, and I think these fish just get a little more active right now. This time of year in March, you know, when that sun warms things up, it's a lot better in the afternoon. That's my favorite time to fish. Just come off that ledge. I'm down there about 20, 25 feet right now. Feeling a little bit of brush and stuff down there. Pick that whole thing up, shake it. Let it sit there. Dragging it right down that drop. Never felt a tick. One got it. Yep. Oh, he's running with it. There he is. There he comes. Here. Good smallmouth there. Yeah. Fish. Here, girl. Little drop shot. Yeah. I mean, it just felt a little bit different. Didn't feel no thump, didn't feel none of that. Oh, that's good. Like that little old razor worm. That's a pretty fish there. This rig will catch anything. I mean, as far as anything, I mean, smallmouth, largemouth, Kentuckies. This time of year, these fish get up here and they're not really keen on just one thing, really. They're up there feeding. There's one, guys. There he is. Big whitefish is coming straight up. There he is. That fish came straight from the top. Down there about the same as that other one, about 20, between 20 and 25, I'm guesstimating where they are. So I'm throwing up there about 15 and just bringing it down. It's not really a break, it's just it comes right down into the channel right here. I've been feeling a little bit of structure up there, like as far as brush piles and stumps and rocks. Yeah, that's largemouth this time. Come on in here, girl. Oh, largemouth. That's a fun size though, that pound and a half. That fish don't even really have his color. Yeah, look how white he is. Coming up out of that deeper water. Step here for about a week or two, they'll just be dark green, real black stripe on them. Right now they're just kind of light colored. There's fish. Yep. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. Oh yeah. That feels a nice fish. It's either another smallmouth or oh, that's a nice largemouth there. Good fish. There in this open water, you don't want to put too much pressure on it. Like I said, I'm just using this 8-pound line here, and I got a little light wire 2/0 hook on there. Oh yeah, that's more like it. That's a nice fish there. Well, that little old hook got him right there in the corner. I can get that one out. There we go. thing unhooked, get her back. I know what she's got on her mind. Oh, it's thick. Ain't that little old Lucky Strike razor one? You know, I spend over 300 days a year on the water. When it comes time to get a bass boat, my choice is Nitro. That's the spot I've been catching them right there. I've been up and down this thing about 2 or 3 times. I caught a fish right here in this area, went down, came back up, caught another fish right here in this area. So what I'm going to do is sit right here. There's obviously something right here that's holding these fish. So I'm just going to sit right here and just keep broadcasting across this spot right here. Uh-oh. There she is. Oh, she's coming right at me. Coming right at me. Boy, fish is heading right back to deep water is what she's doing. Look at that. There, I've got her now. Caught up to her. Couldn't tell what it is, yeah. No, it's fish. There she goes. That's smallmouth. I just saw her. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Oh! Fish are so strong. Are you dead yet, are you? Nope. She had that look in her eye. I knew she was going to take off. Trying to fool me. There she is. She's all tangled up in that drop shot rig. Look at that. Man, there's some nice fish on this spot. If I can just find a spot like this in a tournament, I'd be a millionaire right now. Well, we caught a couple largemouth here and a couple nice smallmouth right here. As you can see here, she's either full of eggs or she's got a bunch of food in her. I'd say that's a female right there, moving up, getting ready to spawn. Get her back in there. There's one. Oh, smallmouth. A little Lucky Strike grub, really. Cool, that one. She inhaled that grub. Didn't give up already. Are you embarrassed? Go, there she goes. There's those shad again. I can feel little ticks on my line. They're not really bumping my bait. They're just, that line's floating down through those shad. Right on cue. There he is. No, they're underneath the shad. Big time. Be about the top. Now that fish is probably about 25 foot deep. Here she comes. Yep, another smallmouth. Some good brownies underneath those shad. I'll catch anything doing this. I mean, Kentucky's, largemouth, smallmouth. Fish comes straight up in 30 foot of water. It really shocks them. Big shock to their system. I want to hurry up and get them back in the water. Boy, that hook just fell right out. That's another good, probably close to 3 pound fish. All right. There she goes. Now, you know you're in a good area when you see a couple of the best fishermen in the world sitting right over on the stump next to you. And they're up here for a reason. Where the bait fish are, and that's where the bass are going to be. Baits from Lucky Strike USA. They will catch fish. You have my guarantee on it. Well, I kind of lost these shad. I wasn't feeling them on my line or anything. Wasn't seeing them on the grass. So I came over here and made a little sweep across this flat. It's about 25 foot deep right here. And didn't see any. And I started throwing back out here in the channel. It's about 35 foot right out here in the channel. And started to feel, I felt a few shad right over in here a while ago on my bait. So I think what they did, they're moving just right out here over the channel now. So are the fish. Where the bait goes, the fish go. Man, he was way out there on the end of the cast too. I was just letting it sink down. I just tightened my line up and just started reeling it. He hit it. There he comes up. That's a largemouth. This one's a largemouth. That fish had to be at least 30 foot through. Yes. Oh, jump. Big shock to him, pull him up out of that deep water that quick with that light line. You know, you got to keep the pressure on them. They'll come off, but most of them aren't even hooked. I mean, look at that. The point I was trying to get across just a second ago was, you know, if you catch a few fish right here in one spot, just because those shad move, you know, the fish move, don't just sit there and just keep throwing at that same area thinking, well, the fish are done feeding. Start looking around, because these shad move, and those fish are going to go right with them. So just keep fishing around. They're going to be right here in this area. They're not going to go very far. I'm just going to start swimming it back. Oh my gosh. This feels like a really nice fish right here. That fish is coming up quick. This one feels like a pretty good little fish. That fish was down there about 35 feet, right? Almost on bottom. I didn't lift it up 4 or 5 foot off the bottom. Yeah, that's a good largemouth out there. Good largemouth. Oh yeah. Man. Oh, look how light colored that fish is. Like I said, that fish was 30, 35 foot deep right on bottom when I caught that fish. So we'll get her back in the water real quick so she can get back down there. There she goes. Look at her go. Whether you're a tournament angler or somebody who just likes to fish for fun, Jewel Bait Company has a wide variety of jigs, spinner baits, and soft plastics. And when the money's on the line, my go-to bait is the spider jig. Pro Guide batteries. They're durable, dependable, and most importantly, long-lasting. When I'm fishing a major tournament, the last thing I need is something else to worry about. So for cranking and trolling power, my choice is Pro Guide batteries. One technique is my favorite. I've grown up doing this. I've had some of the best teachers on Table Rock when I was a little kid, guys like Rex Grady, Bob Tyndall, those guys, best deep water fishermen in the world. When I was 12, 13, 14 years old, they used to take me out and show me how to catch those deep fish. Well, I've just grown up doing that, especially suspended fish. I mean, I'm sitting out in the middle of the lake. That's where people expect to see me in tournaments, is sitting right out in the middle of the lake. If I get up on the bank, they think something's wrong with me, if I'm broke down or something. But this technique right here is my favorite. Especially, you got to have a good depth finder for this, because what I'm looking for here is bait fish. If I can find big pods of bait fish, they may be down 15, sometimes 20, 25, 30 feet. And those fish, even if they aren't feeding on them, they'll be real close to those bait fish. I've seen them just follow them around. I do a lot of scuba diving too, and those fish will just follow those bait fish around, almost use them as cover. When they decide to feed, they run up, feed on those fish, or those bait fish, go right back down. I mean, they got a food source right there, and so they just may be out in 100 foot of water, 125, 150 foot of water, just suspended out there underneath those bait fish. And the baits I like to use for that
My number one bait is the curl-tail grub. This is a greedy grub by Lucky Strike, and there's two colors I primarily use. If the sun's shining a lot, I use this smoke with a silver flake. It gets a lot of flash, but if it's a cloudy or rainy day, something like that, I use just a smoked pepper. Works real good. I use a 3/8 ounce head. Sometimes I go to a half if those fish are real deep. I'm wanting to get down there to them real quick, but 3/8, either a round ball or a pointed head one works just as good. But I use a weed guard if I'm fishing in a lot of trees and stuff like that. If I'm in open water, I won't use a weed guard because a lot of times I'm using 6 and 8 pound line. If you're throwing that thing way out there, if you got a weed guard, you're going to miss some fish because with that stretching that line and everything, that weed guard is going to cause that fish to get off. So if I'm fishing open water, there's no timber or nothing around, I won't fish a weed guard. Another color on that greedy grub is a watermelon, especially on the smallmouth. If you're on pea gravel flats such as Table Rock and those fish are keying out there closer to bottom, that swimming that watermelon grub deep it'll catch them smallmouth, believe me. And another bait I like to use is the little 4-inch Lucky Strike ringworm. They got the smoke with silver flake, just same here. Sometimes they want something a little smaller profile, so I'll use this on the same jig head. I'll swim it. Vertical fish it. Another good color for clear water is cotton candy. It's just it's got that pink color to it, and it really reflects a lot of sun, and it's a really good color. Another bait I like to use, doing the same thing, is these little razor worms. I got one in natural, the shad color, smoked pepper, and I got one in green pumpkin. I fish them on the same jig heads. I'll either throw them out and shake them back, or the way I like to fish these the most is vertical fishing. If I'm seeing fish on the depth finder, say they're down there 25, 30 feet or whatever, I'll drop that line down and just real subtle shakes the rod. And what that does, that thing, your hook's about right there in that tail, so you got a lot of action right there. You don't have to shake it very hard to get a lot of action out of that. And one more bait I'll throw too is a tube bait. That's just a real versatile lure right there. You throw it on the same jig head, you just push the jig head up inside of the bait. And that right there is a real good bait for that same deal. But I'd have to say my number one, if I was to pick all of them right here, would be the grub. Because when that bait's falling, you don't even have to reel or anything. That tail is curling. It's got so much action. Because that fish, when he's sitting down there, that school of fish is looking at that school of shad, and them shad will school up real tight. And what they're trying to do is give an impression to those fish that there's something big, try to scare them off, and those fish will swim around in a circle. And when one shad or a bait fish gets off to the side, that's the one they're going to key on. They're going to get him. So this bait is falling down through those shad, and they think that's an injured shad. They're going to grab it every time. And another bait I'll use if the fish are pretty active is a jig and spoon. It's a 3/4 ounce model, or I'll even use a half, depending on the size of the bait fish. This is just a real good technique year-round. I mean, I use it dead of the winter. When the water's really cold, I'll do more of the vertical presentation. Right now, it's February. Table Rock, we've got a big shad kill going on right now, so there's a lot of shad fluttering down, so I'm probably going to cast a lot more with the grub. Those fish are out roaming around just looking for those shad coming down. Excellent deal in the summer. Summertime, I'll do more vertical because I'm keying on a certain type of structure, whether it be a point, a creek drop, or something like that. Those fish should be keying right there. I'll do more of the vertical. That's when your marker buoys come in real handy because you'll mark that spot and just fish right around it. It'll work in the fall. I'll catch fish in the fall as deep as 60 and 70 feet. Last year on Bull Shoals, me and Buster Loving, we were down there catching anything from stripers to smallmouth to largemouth to Kentuckys. We was catching everything down there 60 and 65, 70 foot deep right on bottom with the grub and the tube bait and the spoon. So it's just a real good pattern for catching suspended fish under bait fish. I tell you what, let's just take a trip out there to the lake and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. We got kind of a unseasonably cool day today. It's June, but it feels more like October. It's real windy and cold, and the main lake is really rough. I moved off the main lake right now. I'm fishing back in a real deep pocket around Table Rock Lake today, and I just got done fishing a tournament, and all the fish were caught anywhere from 15 foot to 33 feet. I caught all my fish today. I had a decent limit today. I caught them all 30 to 32 foot, keying on points and keying on transition banks like we got. If you look at this bank right here, it looks just like pea gravel. What we got down here is a bunch of rock ledges. I found this spot on the topo map years ago. You know, you look for these spots with deep water real close by. I'm sitting 45 foot deep right here. And I'm keying on that 25 to 30, 32 foot zone right now, and I'm using a little bit heavier jewel spider jig. I'm using that 7/16 model because I'm wanting to get it down there and keep in contact with the rocks. I'm using 12-pound line, low visibility line, because the water is very clear up here. So I've just been throwing that thing and just working it real slow, and just, you feel it come free of a ledge, just let it fall, and just pull off ledge, let it fall, just all the way down. And the fish, most fish, I'm not even feeling hitting it. You can pull it up and feel like you're on a rock, and you just feel the fish swim off with it. Sometimes you feel that real light peck. So you got to use a rod, you know, with some backbone too, because you really got to stick them. Right there, I just hit bottom right there. So I can feel them rocks right there. I'm coming off there, it just went off a rock. I'm gonna let it drop. Hit bottom again right there. Just drag it right off those rocks. I'm probably fishing right about 20 right now. There, it dropped off again about 3 or 4 feet, so I'm probably about 25 foot now. Just keep hopping right down those ledges. There's been a lot of fish right in here. This is a good pocket off the main lake. Got 120 foot of water right out here behind this real deep cove. Just missed a good fish right down there on this ledge a while ago. I think it was a good fish. I had her stuck just for a little while, but we only been here just a few minutes. And there's a real nice ledge right here. And I mean, that thing drops about 8 or 10 feet. And right there, I'm in the rocks. There, it come off the ledge. There, it hit bottom again. There's one. There she is. Oh, I can't catch her. Yeah, I got her. I feel that's a pretty good fish right there. Well, they had a pretty good smallmouth right here a while ago. I catch smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass right in here. And that jewel, oh, hold on. Yeah, that's fish. There she is. Sorry about that. That jewel spider jig, I'm telling you, here, boy, she's coming up. Oh, she's way out there. I guesstimate that fish was probably about 25 to 28 feet, something like that. That's another smallmouth. Oh, she came off right there. That was a good fish, probably about 3.5 pound fish right there. But that spider jig, I'm telling you what, I use that all over the country. I've thrown that jig in Florida, I've thrown it in Texas, Oklahoma, everywhere. We got a 3/16, a 5/16, and a 7/16 model, which is this one right here. I use this when I'm fishing a lot deeper. Great jig. Boy, I tell you, Tart, I'm all thumbs there. I'm so excited because I caught a couple real good fish on that jewel. I can't even get it through the hole there. Trying to rig up a Carolina rig here. I just broke off a good fish. I was catching them on that jewel spider jig for a while. I caught a couple 3.5 pound brownies and lost another good fish right here on this ledge. And I think they got kind of used to that jig, so I switched over to a Carolina rig with a Lucky Strike Enforcer lizard on it. First cast. Had a good fish on and broke him off. So I'm sitting there trying to re-rig so I can get back in there, and I'm all thumbs right now. Well, I finally got this thing tied on, man. I'm so excited because I know there's a lot of quality fish. I haven't caught a whole lot of them right here on this ledge, but they've been quality fish. I finally got this Carolina rig back on here. I'm waiting for it to hit bottom right now. Those fish are about 25 to 28 near as I can figure right there on that ledge. Breaks off about 5 or 6 feet and goes down. I'm sitting 42 foot right now. I got that Lucky Strike Enforcer lizard on there, a green pumpkin lizard right now. That's my favorite color. Coming over a rock or something right there. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. The thing about that Carolina rig, you can let them take it. Yeah, that's fish. Oh. Oh my gosh, what do I got? Oh, I either snagged one in the side or I got a good fish on here. It's not really fighting like a smallmouth. It's just dead weight. Got 12-pound line on it right now. I got an 8-pound leader on it.
this clear water, so I'm not going to try to horse her too much. I mean, it's what I got. It feels like a turtle. It's just dead weight. There she's shaking now. Come on, girl. That's got to be a good fish. Doesn't feel like a smallmouth, but largemouth usually jump by now. Try to get under the boat. Oh my gosh, look at this fish. Oh my gosh. My, look at the size of this largemouth. Oh. God. Look at that. My God, that's a good fish. Like I said in my last video, that's 10 pounds, give or take 4. That's probably about 6.5 pounds right there. These fish are all in there post-spawn. You can see how, look at her tail, how it's all wore off. She's kind of beat up, she spawned out. But that is one nice fish. No telling how much that fish would have weighed 2 months ago in the spawn. She probably would have weighed 7.5. One pretty fish. That old lizard. Back in the water. Here she goes. You know, in life there are no guarantees, especially when it comes to fishing, but one thing you can count on is getting the best deal around at Davis Bar Chevrolet Pontiac. Today I have with me my good friend and fishing buddy, Craig Davis.
Thanks, Tim, for having us out today. At Davis Bar Chevrolet Pontiac, we feature a full line of Chevy tow vehicles and Pontiac cars, all with special pricing for our fishing friends. So come on down to Bearville, Arkansas and give us a try, or call me at 870-423-2182.
You know, one of the finest bass lakes in the United States is Table Rock Lake. If you enjoy deep water bass, you're sure to enjoy Table Rock bass. Here's some more information on how to order. I hope you enjoy deep water bass as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our supporting sponsors. Until next time, this is Tim Sainato saying good luck and good fishing.